discussion?
Mr. Chairman, is that to adopt that, I mean, I'm just for.
For adopt a resolution for, to apply the state to move.
Yes, sir.
I've got one question is being on the board with East Point, and I listened diligently to everything that was said. And I listened to what they had to offer. That's the reason I asked you that question particularly. And everything that she said.
I think I lost the phone again.
Okay.
You green light on? I'm not hearing it.
She's still looking at us.
Yeah,
But she's, I'm not sure she can hear us.
I don't know what you can hear, I'm not seeing the.
I think she's trying to speak too.
She can't, you can't hear her either.
Let me call her.
I don't know why the phone's losing it. That is possible.
That's why she's got.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign. To enable audio control.
Hey. Okay, we can hear you now. We can hear you now, sir.
Mr. Condell,
But the thing what I was saying was sitting on the board and listening, I asked her that particular question, and I was trying to get an answer to that particular thing as to what they would do different from the things they're going to be doing. I heard her talking about locations and where you're going to put them at, and the personal part of it. East Point has said that they'll do the same thing for that point there on the contact and have it that did. Then I listened to them talk about other aspects of mental health and the service that's needed to be provided to the county. And I hear them say the same thing. And when you look at those groups, when they're trying to move in this direction, that's the same thing that Cardinal was doing, the same thing Trillium was doing right now. They was gobbling up everything they could gobble up until they gobbled up too much. Now everybody's sitting there trying to figure out where to go. And Cardinal has dissolved. Cardinal was the same way. They gobbled up everything, get their hands on, and promised everybody everything they gonna do. And then all it fell apart. Because people got mad and got the thing the commissioners was complaining about. But they were not able to sit at the table and talk about what was going on. That was the failure of Cardinal. It got too big. And that was one of the reasons Cardinal fell apart. Want so much of money, it was just a rule on how they did it. And when East Point talked about what we wanted to do, they made a firm commitment on a piece of paper and gave it to us, the things that they would put in progress. And I looked at that happening, and I'm saying some things have happened with East Point that was a communication breakdown. A lot of things that they are talking about, bringing to the county, they're not bringing them, they're already here. It's just that they're not being implemented where they're visible. A lot of this stuff is already here. They're doing the same particular service, travel, mobile units, every aspect that they just talked about. East Point is doing that now. And we're at the table, and we're complaining about what's going on, and we hear it. We are sitting here in the middle of this, and some of you guys are listening, but I hope you understand what the Taylor plan is. You hear them talk about this thing about the Taylor plan. You getting an overview of it, but you're not getting the full gist of what that Taylor plan is.
Condell, you got a point to make, sure.
Yes. When you do that Taylor plan, you're going to see things happen with your service and your service providers. It's going to go completely disarray. I've talked to some of the guys about them coming into Bladen County, and they said, Condell, this is not the time to even talk about me bringing the service to Bladen County and all these promises, because this transition plan with these 5 insurance companies is getting ready to turn MCOs and everything upside down. Some of the guys talking about getting out of business because of this that transition plan you're talking about, that Taylor plan. All that's getting ready to happen. And Trillium is sitting here telling you that they're gonna come from down, just like East Point, from 40 or 50 or 150,000 patients down to 35. And you think out of that 35,000, you won't have no more than what Ms. Rouse indicated. They getting ready to come way down. I mean, off the chart down with that Taylor plan. Because Blue Cross, United Care, Well Care, all those guys are the ones that's coming in to take over this plan. These providers are going to go to the people who can pay them the money. That's where they're going. So it's getting ready to be a whole different world with MCOs than what you're thinking. So we can get the shifting during this transition, and it may be the worst mistake. My only recommendation is that we stay with East Point, revisit this after this transition has taken some time, the C word's going, and this thing rushing into this, I think we are making a bad decision. If we decide to rush into it.
Any other comments?
My only question was, why did we have to go as far as we did with East Point? They're already here. They've been here for how many years? And then because we talked to another company, they're already offering us what we should have been getting already. That was my only question. My question was, why did it take this to get what we should have already had?
Any other comments?
From them. That was my question.
What last response, Ms. Peterson? The thing I'm trying to say is, we have been made aware of things that we did not know. This has been the biggest lesson that you ever could have been confronted with, is what you did with now. Things are happening that we were not aware of. People are getting certain specific services.
That's not true.
And just our job, people are getting specific service in this county right now that we were not aware of, that they're doing. Right now at the time, we got this thing they won't doing it. How do you spend $10 million? Trillium is over here, and they showing that we're using their providers. So they're getting the money too, they're paying. It's not like they don't have services in this county. Trillium said the guys are coming in to Point Three, they're already online, receiving services from them.
Mr. Cogdell, 7 or 8 days ago, you was all on board and switching.
Charles.
So that's all I'm saying, and any more discussion?
Charles, it's about 7 or 8 days.
Dr. Phil, I'm going, I'm sorry.
I just have one comment that I will say, that I worked on the Medicare Transformation Board or Committee, and I know there's going to be some major changes. I'm not sure how it's going to impact Bladen County, if we have a shift, move, or not, I don't know. But I will tell you, East Point, the same things that Trillium said, they are part of the JCPC, so is East Point. East Point are working with our high schools, middle schools, for their, even for our schools, they're on virtual classes, but they are still reaching out to them and working with them about our high schools and middle schools. So that service is there. So that's not something new. It's nothing that Trillium can give us, but East Point does it already. Some of the other issues I've had with for the service here on East Arcadia end, some of those folks I talked to, I forgot his name, John, what was his name, East Point, and some of the service we didn't get because it was supposed, some of it was in the list account, but then there's some shift on some of our providers. And that's probably because our primary health care is in another county, because we're on the end of the county. And that's because our county is not giving us some of the outlying, the services that we need. So I have to tell you that I'm just telling you for East Point, for JCPC in the schools, and helping us on some of the mental health issues, they're working.
Well, you know, I promised like myself I was gonna be nice today, I'm gonna be nice. But I totally disagree with East Point has been non-existent in Bladen County. And I can show you documentations where I've sent emails to them, asking them for help, and I can show you where since COVID, they have been non-existent. And I'll call, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Okay, a roll call.
Oh, roll call, I'm sorry.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie,
Yes.
Mr. Britt,
Yes.
Mr. Cogdale,
No.
Dr. Ellis.
Yes.
Mr. McGill.
Yes.
Mr. Bullock,
No.
Mr. Hester,
Yes.
Dr. Mungoins,
No,
Okay, so Greg, we'll sign the paperwork and send it to DHHS. Thank y'all. It's been a long struggle. It's been a headache. So at this time, we'll get a COVID update since the governor's come out and done a press release and talked about Bladen County and Bladen Borough. But you got a couple of handouts here. Let me tell you real quickly what it's about. This Zero Hedge, a lady from Raleigh or Durham called me today, and she said this FDA published this, and she was raising sand because the governor wants sharing the other side of the story about the vaccine. So I just sharing the information. And this other one, basically about the same thing. It comes from a lady from Mars Hill, sent to me as chairman. So I'm just sharing those two pieces. Yeah, I'm just sharing these two pieces with you for information. And I got one of them. I got both of them today, in fact. So, Dr. Duncan.
So it has been a challenging time, as I reported last time that we met, that I would not be surprised if we indeed were in the red category. And as you know, that when the state hosted the county alert system, and we were the only county in North Carolina that was currently in the red. There are multiple counties that are in the green, multiple counties that are in the yellow. There are no counties in the orange. And we were orange before we became red, so we got worse, and the other counties that were in the orange got better. So, the report as of Friday said that at the time there were 81 cases and 1 death linked to the Bladen area. And as of today, there are 86 cases and 1 death. On Friday's report, there was 64% of the cases of the people were aged 49 and younger, and today that's now 67%. As of last Friday, overall 63% of the cases were among Caucasians, and today it's 52.74. With before on Friday, 15% were among African Americans, and today it's 28%. So we have, we're continuing to increase in that area. I will say that today, and other days, we have cases, we've got now 48% or so that are spread throughout the rest of Bladen County. So it's not just in that area, it's just the majority of the majority is in the Bladen zip code. So when we look at today's numbers, today we were at a 13.3% positivity compared to the state's 2.7. On Friday, we were at 15% compared to the state's lower rating. And as I reported last time, we continue to have been for the entire month of June 3, 4, 5 and better percent compared to what our positivity was compared to what the state was. As of today, in North Carolina, there were 1,013,207 positive cases with 13,420 deaths, 994,472 recovered, with 368 hospitalized. That's the first time we've had that little number hospitalized, and I can't remember when. And as I already reported, the 2.7% positivity. Bladen County today had 3,497 positive cases with 97 active. If you can remember back in May, I was reporting in the 40 and 50 range of active cases, and we've done that. With 44 deaths, 3,356 recovered, and I reported at noon today that we had 15 hospitalized, and as of 4:05, we have 18 hospitalized. That is our highest hospitalization today since COVID began. So, Mr. Peterson did address that there is some literature out there that the vaccine is not safe, effective. There is, as if you will read One of the documents that Mr. Peterson reported out, the FDA commissioner says in her statement, the benefits of the COVID-19 vaccination continue to outweigh the risk, given the risk of COVID-19 diseases and related potentially severe complications. To date, we continue at the health department. It's a huge opportunity for us to think out of the box and to, how can we help people get vaccinated if indeed they want the vaccine? I don't know that we haven't reached the saturation point at this rate. We gave 11 walk-in vaccinations today at the health department. Gave 30 some last Monday. On Tuesday we gave 7 or 8. So it just depends. On some days we'll give a few. On some days we gave that 30. That was the most. We have been, as I reported last time, to Bladenboro, Dublin, Tar Heel. We're going back to Bladenboro. We went to Clarkton last week. We're going back to Clarkton this week. We have been to the Juneteenth celebration, as y'all heard last week, to the White Lake Water Festival. We are giving home vaccinations for folks that aren't able to come to us. We are offering BARTS transportation for folks that need transportation. For those that can't travel to us and they can't get out of the car very well, we will go and give vaccines in the car. We've offered extended hours and we didn't have but 2 people to come. I haven't seen an employer yet that hasn't offered their employees the opportunity to come while they were at work to get the vaccine, particularly when we had those, if you can remember back January, February, March, we would get 100 to 300 doses, and within an hour or so we had our appointments filled. And that's not the case anymore. We are working now to try to get Pfizer at the health department to give any of those children aged 12 to 17. I hope to have that by the end of the week, if not sooner than that. I don't know. At least we will give the opportunity for any of those that want it. It's a challenging, trying time.
So, Dr. Duncan, I commend you for what you did. I know y'all been out there working and trying to get this vaccine. But what about the other side of this vaccine?
Well, and that
What about the other
is,
side? I mean, we can push all we want to, but is there another side to it?
well, there is, the FDA reports that on their warning that they are adding the risk of the myocarditis, but they did not pull the vaccine. And they are still recommending that over non-vaccination.
Which one is this now?
Dr. Ellis.
I just want to ask you personally, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, what do you think is driving our numbers though? Do you think it's just the large populace of unhealthy, adjuncts that's what's driving it? I mean, or do you think it's vaccine driven, compared to percentiles for other counties? Because I think the thing is that kind of looks bad for our county, obviously, is that we're standing out in a negative, light in that regard. And of course, everybody wants to know, and like you say, media type things, it would be, what are we doing wrong? And what, and the answer might be not a thing in the world. You cannot mandate these individuals go get these vaccines, and if they do not show up, and you're doing, but it would almost be good if we could have some kind of, just my opinion, and I understand, I read all the data like you do. I understand both sides of the vaccine kind of. I don't need to really talk too much about that, but I think we ought to do a declaration at some point about, we have done all we can do, and in other words, put it in real terms about why our numbers might still be high, some kind of educated literature about that or whatever. But it's easy for all of us up here to say, well, go get the vaccine, then the numbers will come down, and then of course on the flip side, a lot of people don't want the vaccine, no matter what you say, they don't want it.
A lot of positive cases are vaccinated.
I understand,
right?
they are. And
About
so,
1%
I
is.
took the vaccine I got.
I know, there's been a lot of that.
But I think it helped me. I don't know if I really want to sick now. But
And I'm not really speaking to that, and I didn't mean, Cameron, I don't mean to be rude in that regard. I respect, people's decision, but I think we ought to address it some way to try to make a statement about what we think is happening, but.
Well, Dr. Ellis, you bring up an interesting point. We are not the lowest county as far as vaccination rates.
Right.
Many of our neighboring counties don't have the vaccination rate that we do. We're still looking, we cannot narrow this down to one particular event or business or industry. So we don't have the lowest, in fact, we're moving towards kind of the, not the middle, but we're not in the lower portion throughout the 100 North Carolina counties.
The question I want to ask, the numbers are going up. Have we figured out why they're going up so high? Or what, did it stem from a certain event? Did it stem from a certain workplace? Has it been lined out as to why it's going up?
No, as I just said, it's not been related to any particular event, business, industry. It's people going about their normal daily routine.
There's new strains out there too.
But here's the thing,
That's true.
here's the thing, Ms. Duncan, I'm trying to figure out, and like Dr. Hill said, it's complicated to figure out how to motivate people to do it. But when I call and talk to individuals, this misinformation is part of it, but a lot of them have an intense fear, not of the shock, but that is the shock. Is the shock adequate? Is it safe? Is it something? Some of them will call me with every kind of theory on the world. That they put cracking chips in us, they're doing genetic coding, they're doing all this.
Well, the block dots are, that's not, they're not, that's.
And what I'm trying to say, do we need to try
I'm just counting.
and formulate?
I'm being silly.
You're right. No, but what I was looking at was with the, would the campaign be affected if we try to do some kind of a joint effort throughout the community? Because I have talked a few people into getting the shots, and the reason being simply because I spoke with them and talked about my conditions and things like that, and they said, yeah, I'm gonna take a shot. Some of them went and took a shot. Would it be any way that we could put some type of an effort together jointly with EMS, the health department, where you do a community situation where people in the community, we find somebody in the community that we could key in to go door to door, or maybe make some kind of contact or something like that?
Terry, how many community things have you had? I mean, tell them.
No, I'm talking about, but I'm not talking about that, Charles. I'm talking about with people in the community that would have the influence, that could talk to somebody. Because a lot of them are driven because they have people telling them what's going on with misinformation. How do we?
How can you say that's FDA's misinformation?
Child, listen,
I'm just asking.
I understand that, child. That's the issue. What I'm saying. That's one thing saying one thing.
That's the FDA.
I understand that.
Okay, I'm
But
sorry.
I'm just saying, if I walked up to a person and I've had the shots, and you communicate to them that it has not done any harm to me, I'm still alive, and we're walking around right now, and I'll tell you, when I heard this thing coming back up, and I don't know if the numbers are right, but when I hear 32% have been fully inoculated in Bladen County, that means when I'm in a crowd of 100 people, 68 of them don't have vaccination. And I'm completely leery about going any place. Because, and now they done took the masks down, took the social distancing away. It's all gone. And I'm trying to figure out, how do we make this county safe, that we can feel safe? I talked to some girls today at Farm Brew. They say, Mr. Cargill, I ain't going nowhere. I'm going home. I don't even want to go shopping. I go shopping at midnight. How can we get this county for people to feel safe again? We got to do something.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Brett, and then Mr. Cannon, then I'll get you on.
Do something.
I understand
Yeah.
what Mr. Cogdell's saying, but at the same time, I took the shots. I went close to the evening, and I sort of tricked my wife into coming. And I can understand the disarray and the confusion. It's caused a lot of dissension in my home. We've heard plus, we've heard minus. My wife hasn't been well since she had the shots in January, February. I've had a tremendous bunch of side effects from bells and bells again, and it can probably start to try to kick on me right now. You can feel the twitching and all. But my point is, you're gonna hear it on both sides. I don't know what the answer is, but I have learned and gained the respect of 42 years of marriage. I wish I hadn't coached mine into it, because I've not heard it down yet. But, and I say that with all respect to people that are still concerned and wearing a mask, if that's what you wanna do. But I don't know the answer. I just feel like if I don't feel good or this, that, and the other, I think it caused a lot of people not wanting to go to the doctor anymore. But I think when they go, it's COVID, and that's what a lot of people say, so they refrain from going. And that's not a good thing. But they just feel like, well, I've got COVID, I'm gonna be diagnosed. And in their opinion, they don't think you have COVID. But, so that's where we're at. What do you say, what do you do? And I think that's where the state's at, the nation's at, and some others are. So I don't have an answer for it.
I'll be brief, and I get far more people that come to me and say, I wish I'd have never taken it. My mom, rheumatoid arthritis, is doing great, took the shot within a week, she's homebound. And her doctor said, yes, there's some side effects that the medicine that you've been on for these years, it's kind of negating it. I think we need to be very, very careful. We're county commissioners, we're not health experts. I've asked a couple of times folks and said, tell me about the long-term effects, and when they immediately said there are no long-term effects. The virus has only been around a year and a half. We don't know what long-term effects are. I just think we need to be very, very careful. I think we encourage people to, I'll say, pray, do what they feel like they need to do. But the fact of the matter is, 6 ball players just got put off of a team because they got COVID, and 4 of them had the vaccine. I think about a 15-year-old kid that's saying, you know, do I really want to take a vaccine for a disease that if I get it, I may not even know I have it, and most likely I'll have no side effects, no long-term effects from the disease. But I don't really know what the effects are going to be of the vaccine. Again, I think people, we live in a very great nation because we're free people, and I just want to be very careful that we don't, you know, I think, and this I'll move on and I'll give the floor. I think in 5 years you're going to have every other TV commercial saying, if you or someone you know has been adversely affected by the COVID vaccine, please call 1-900, whatever. As far as the EMTs and the healthcare professionals, most of the EMTs that I know personally want no part of the shot. So I just think there's just so much out there that we don't know. I think we need, and call something false information that the, you know, how in the world do we know if it's false information? It's like, if you speak out against the vaccine, you must be some kind of crazy person. But at this point, we really don't know. It's the only thing we don't go get food that hadn't been approved by the FDA, but this shot's not been approved by the FDA. It's really, it doesn't make sense how we got to this point. I don't know, there's a lot of the pericarditis and other things, that's serious.
All I want to say is I thank the health department for what you've done, but now we have identified a concern, you might say a problem. We have identified it. When I was employed, if you had a problem that come up, you change plans. You come up with plans to solve the problem. So we have a plan in place, and I'm not being negative with the plan that you got. But if it's not working, we need to look at it and come up with another plan. Do we need to get mobile units that go all over the county? And maybe do we need to buy some door hangers and advertise more? And I'm like I said, I want to be negative because you're all doing a great job with this, but we need to look at some other avenue as how we can get more knowledge out there to the public, and hopefully they will go and take the shot. Thank you.
Dr. Tell us where you've been, if you can remember all the places.
Well, I know about that, Mr. Chairman. You don't have to do that.
Well, I mean, but what are you talking about? I mean,
But I'm saying, if what we're doing is not working, let's come up with something else.
well, hanging door hangers and taking a bus and going out there, the same things he's been doing.
We have got some folks that were in the Bladen area today at the grocery store over that way. Mount Calvary's looking at going out, the CCNC group's looking at, talking with the, close contacts, but we have been doing that.
Someone was telling me that, this is hearsay, that the media is telling people not to come to Bladen County, not to visit. That is hearsay.
Well, how many times are we going to
Just called that.
The only question I'm asking here tonight
and I know we talking and discussing, what position will this board going to take, if any, or none at all, or just say, people be safe and be careful? What position are we going to take tonight to send a message out, at least as we hear, addressing this issue with our health director? What are we gonna say? Are we gonna encourage people to take the shots, do it if you want to? What's gonna be this message sent from the commissioners? Or we just gonna leave it to our health director? What are we doing?
You can do whatever you want to, whatever you need to do, but my message is, I took the shot, but I'm not telling nobody else to take it. It's their own choice.
So what, I'm just asking, what's gonna be the
That's
message
my
we send out
comment.
here?
It's your own choice.
Can I make?
Dr. O'Fearman? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We don't have a state either way. It's a free country, let people decide for themselves. But I have a question, Dr. Duncan. Are you saying that, so contact tracing was conducted and we still can't figure out why that zip code of folks?
That's correct.
Positive?
We're averaging 1 to 2 contacts per positive case.
So Dr. Duncan, Dr. Ophia, some of those cases were like business that might have affected 10 people last week in Bloodmore. Families.
Well, what the contacts are telling us is they have 1 or 2 people.
Well, that's not true.
Well, that's what they're telling us. That's what we're on.
But we're not questioning you.
No,
And it's because they don't know where it is, they don't know who has it, it may be 2 people, it may be somebody coming in, infected, it may be somebody that's a family. It doesn't matter, but at the same time, we have to protect ourselves. That's why I'm still home. I know, I do what you have to do. Vaccine, I don't agree with it, I really don't. But I also know that I looked at the cost of not taking the vaccine, what can happen. And so, I know as a county commission though, I don't have a say. I'm not gonna tell people to take the vaccine, and I'm not gonna tell them not to take it. But I want them to listen to your the health director, your physician, and those who, or the CDC, people in the medical field, and let them decide what they should and should not do.
very well said.
The only thing I'm saying, I'm not telling people to take it or not take it. Like you said, that's a personal opinion. The personal opinion, how you want to do that, what you feel the best to do. But I look at the town manager from Bladenburg. He did send out an advisory that please try and wear your masks and social distancing until this event is over. Are we gonna send out any kind of message to tell people, to tell them just have a good time? Don't worry about it.
Enjoy
You're
yourself.
safe.
Be careful.
Enjoy yourself.
Be
Are
careful.
you gonna tell them at least to go back to what was working with masks and social distancing?
Shutting down the whole county.
I ain't saying shut the county down. I'm just saying social
If you're
distancing.
sick. I thought he said go back to the way things were.
No, he
No,
said
no, I
masks.
didn't say, I said
He said
masses.
masks.
I'm saying masses and social distance. If we just put that advisory from this board, that we feel this, until this pans over, and Ms. Duncan say, I think we got a decline in something, can we put something in place just to address that? I mean, I don't know, what do you wanna do? I'm just saying.
Dr.
I think my thing earlier, and I agree with what Cameron, I agree with kind of what everybody said here tonight, actually, as far as vaccine, no vaccine, a lot of it is, you're right, it is a very personal choice. There's things from the FDA, both sides, that's why you can call flounder in a restaurant, it's actually Chinese catfish, and you can call it flounder by the FDA, by the way. Jeff Burleson told me that a long time ago, but anyway, that's true. Mongolian catfish, and they can call it flounder or mahi-mahi, and it's not even what you're buying, that's a fact. But anyway, the point that I'm getting to, we have known for a very, very long time that unhealthy lifestyle, and we're kind of plagued with it somewhat. And that was my only question to asking you, like where, in your mind, because you know this county well with all your, my God, Terry, all your years in servicing people, the numbers most likely potentially could be coming from that unhealthy lifestyle, vaccine or no vaccine. And I think it would be good if we could at least make some kind of declaration or maybe comment, or if we did anything at all, in other words, like go out and have your time and be careful, mask if you want, if you don't, we respect that, whatever it is, but it would be a good time to address where we think, or why we think we're hanging around these high numbers. It's not only because of the vaccine, like you said, some counties have had more or less, and their numbers are still 3%. So, you know, it just kind of makes you wonder, you know, somewhere in there lies the problem. You know, and I don't think it's fair to put it on you like, hey, Dr. Duncan, come up with a statement for us. And I think it's a little quick for us to turn around tonight and say, okay, this, you know, it's, but we ought to be thinking about it possibly, you know.
Dr. Douglas, will you finish?
Yeah, I'm done.
Madam Chair,
Yeah,
do you have a recommendation, or you just, do you have a recommendation? You're the expert.
As I have told people from the very beginning, once we had vaccine available, and we had this hesitation, and I have said it to at least 5 media stations, I would hope that people would go to their most trusted medical professional, their physician, nurse practitioner, physician's assistant, if needed, and of course the health department. We hope that people trust us to come and talk about any anxieties they have, any myths they have, if they want us to help them look at both sides, that they would speak with their religious council if they were particularly hesitant. Those folks that don't want a vaccine, the guidelines right now say, please wear your mask and social distance and help us get through this.
So that's already in place.
Charles, people, I'm saying, if it comes from us, just to say it from this board, through our health director, during this crisis, would you please, if you could help out with the situation, this wear your mask and social distance, not requiring you to do anything, we can't mandate nothing on
You know,
nobody.
we put up with this emergency thing that Governor Cooper was blown slam. And I am not gonna be the one to sit here and try to even suggest putting masks and stuff back on. Now, if you don't wanna make a motion, make a motion and let's move on. We talk about it.
I'll make-
Yours.
Because I think at least the mask did work. At least folks, social distance, it may work. I'm not saying doing something invasive like taking the vaccine, but I do support vaccines. But at the same time, I think we need to do something. If not, the people willing to sacrifice their lives because they're not willing to do what's right to protect themselves or their families, that's on them. But at least let us do something and say, hey, wear your mask, consider wearing your mask. I'm not saying it. Consider wearing at least social distance.
I don't think it's our place to
Mr. Chairman.
just take a stand.
For a long
Mr.
time.
Bullock.
Only question I have to you, Mr. Chairman, I've had people come to me and say, what you county commission gonna say we should do? Well, we ain't sitting in, as a board, you know. Could we just put out a statement and, saying that the county commissioner suggests, excuse me, that the citizens do X number of things? And so if somebody approached me saying, what the county commission want us to do? What y'all gonna do about this? Then I say, okay, we put this message out. We suggest that you wear your mask, social distance. Let's put something out coming from this board. Something.
You're already under, if I ain't bad mistaken, the emergency order from the governor.
I agree with that.
So, you know, the message you're gonna send, if you make a motion, is it's gonna be a split board and it's gonna be more divided and it's gonna do good. But I'm not gonna support telling people what to do.
That's your opinion.
Okay, but it's gonna be a split board.
That's your
Let me, and Charles Ray, the one thing that bothered me a little bit, and I think I spoke to Dr. Duncan about it, the only thing that does bother you somewhat is the health department or Dr. Duncan herself getting a really negative rap by, and it's gonna happen in life, that's just the way life is, period. You know, even Jesus got persecuted. But, in other words, you know, right, but that's right, preachers.
I said preacher,
But,
brother.
anyone else?
You call me long-winded.
But the bottom line is, they'll say, well, they're, you know, the health department hasn't done what they're supposed to do, so therefore, all of a sudden, you know, why is Bladen County da-da-da-da-da-da-da? And really, she's done, she's
Everything.
worn out, she's done everything she
She's done
can do.
everything.
You know, so it's, the only reason I was thinking as a board, it would be nice to at least show support of our health department, was the fact that, look, we have these every day available. Healthy lifestyle is always an option for you. Practice that, whether you've been vaccinated or not. you know, something along those lines, where we're not, you know, we're not preaching to people, we're not trying to mandate masks again.
Yes.
But it would not be a bad idea to address it somewhere down the line. I'm not saying you can do it this week, I'm just saying it would be a good idea to think about it.
I think that if it was a big enough issue when the governor took his time today to do a press conference slamming Blaine County, why didn't he put something in place? He has the authority to do it. Why didn't he just do something right in his emergency order if it's such a big issue?
To do that then.
Mr.
I'll
Cameron.
send an email and request to do that. Or talk to one of the senators and ask them to select Bladen County and direct them. I'll ask. Thank you.
I just think if you make a motion and it's a split vote, it's in the wrong direction.
We have support from North Carolina DHHS.
The thing I'm saying
We've had
is,
that support.
Mr. Peasley, if it's 32 individuals that out of every 100, we have the best interest to protect the 68 of them that ain't took the shot as well as the 32 who took the shot. We got the whole county.
We have no authority to suggest anything.
I make a motion that we ask our health director, would it be sufficient for her to recommend to this board that social distance and masks, please try and respect those things until this pandemic, until this.
Aren't you already doing that, Dr. Duncan? So you asked him for something that she's already doing.
I'm asking is it coming from this board?
Okay, motion made. You got the motion?
Wait a minute, go ahead.
A motion was made that this board recommend to people that we would appreciate them to follow social distance and wear masks until this crisis goes down. That's all.
You can't do that.
Scary.
Business and everything else you're gonna face.
Just a point of reference.
They didn't say shut down.
Point of reference.
You're gonna put masks in businesses?
It's already in place.
You're gonna spread the restaurants and stuff out.
It's already in place.
It's already in place. All we doing is following what's the recommendation that she already got in
The
place.
most recent executive order already requires that if you are unvaccinated, that you wear a mask and social distance.
So
So that's-
what are we trying to do
so
here?
that-
Are we supporting that? We just.
So all we doing is supporting it.
Right, that's all we doing.
All we doing is supporting what they
Okay,
said.
you got the motion. I'm not supporting. You got the motion and you got the second.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Ms. Marie?
Mr. Peterson?
No.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt?
No.
Mr. Cogdill?
Yes.
Dr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. McGill?
No.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Hester?
Yes.
Dr. Mungowens?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. So the last thing I want to talk about real quick is, I've done some work today on this strategic plan brainstorming work groups, and I'm going to email it to all the commissioners, and it's just the start. So you need to look at what I've done and what Greg sent out the other day and pick people and positions, so we'll be ready July the 7th to decide who's going to be on these work groups now. But just look at mine and change it any way you want to. It's nothing in concrete. So I'll email that to you or get Ms. Marie to email it to you. Okay, I haven't had much to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Marie? Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdill?
Yes.
Dr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Hester?
Yes.
Dr. Mungowens?
Yes.
Thank y'all.